Ahoy, laddies and lasses. Warramatquishki kiarembokwa, warramatatashiki fifwarramakwaya. We are at 17 scrummages. 17 scrummaholies. This past cycle was a good one, to say the least. I set out with a goal to master and release Savage, which I was able to do this week. Felt like there was quite a bit less resistance on the mastering process than I've had in the past. It felt like it went more smoothly. That being said, I did get very sick at one point. For the majority of the scrum, I've been pretty sick, but I'm feeling a lot better now. And I released it like a day later than I had anticipated, but I felt great. It should be released this evening around in about 4 hours. With that spoken, happy new moon. Another aspect of my goal was to play guitar 30 minutes every day, and that did not, there were 2 days that didn't happen, and it was very much because I was sick. So other than that, I felt like it was a solid take with that. That was kind of hard to measure things. Once I got sick, it was just kind of like, I just remember 2 days ago, I was like, wow, this is the worst I've sounded in a long time. It's just like when I got sick, my voice just turned off. And then yesterday's session, I felt like, okay, it's back on. I also recognize, like, there's something beautiful about just appreciating the simple experience of playing without any directional orientation. Like, I wasn't trying to, work on Vimana, develop that. I don't think I learned a single song. I just played, and it was lovely and simple. Yeah, it's interesting to just appreciate playing without the care for progress, or without progress being the fundamental goal, just showing up being the goal. Good experience. I'm so unenergized right now. I will say, speaking of unenergized, winter's come, and I feel, I guess something that's been accumulating as I've been here is just like something that also rings last year's bells. Last year when I went into winter, I got super depressed, and that happened with just a complete break of my faith in the guiding structures that I've been utilizing up until that point. And it just felt like everything that I was doing stopped working, which is a cyclical occurrence for me. And I came to a point where I felt like it was important for me to let go of everything that I had thought I was doing and all the reasoning that I was doing it, and let go of music, let go of like my interest in making my life with it, and just like put everything in the fire and see what actually was real at the end of the day. If there were delusions inside me, I just wanted to become clear with them. And it was basically just like all of my ship, all sense of hope and inspiration just turned off. It was a very uncomfortable time, to say the least. But then, for reasons unbeknownst to me, all of the lights in the ship came back on, and my energy began to open again. And I felt the call to engage music. And with such a long time having no inspiration, the feeling of inspiration was like a totally new sensation for me when it did come back. And this is all a year ago. And I began playing with just an interest to focus and learn the craft, like to deconstruct other people's beats and understand how they made those sounds and compose those elements together. And it did my interest. The reason I was playing music, the fuel source for it, was not anything to do with my future and anything to do with the life that I'm interested in living. It was simply just the act of engaging this experience of intrigue or curiosity that was alive for me. And I feel myself passing through a similar passage at the moment where, well, I'll also say this, after working in that new way for some time, Scrvm came about. Whereas, like, for a while I was just creating works when I was inspired to do so, and then Scrvm came about and I was making works all the time, even when I didn't want to do so. And that was kind of the point of the activity, was to produce without, and arrive to the work without, unrestrained by my emotional states. And it's been an epic practice and process with this way of relating to the work, which I feel like a lot of successful artists that I have come to tune into, they reflect that sense of dedication, like particularly in novelists who just arrive to write. And so I engaged that. I feel like I've been successful with that. And through the Scrvm, all my hopes and dreams came back alive, of like releasing the music, and the power of the music that I felt was really something special. And I was like, okay, I want to be a pop star. I want to be a superstar. And I feel, as I've arrived here, I came to Atlanta very much with this idea that I would be connecting with the world. And as I've been here, it's such a common occurrence for me to have an idea of what I'm doing and then for that to just totally change. And I feel like it's just a part of life at this point, where it's just like, I ain't got no fucking clue. Bruh. Just being more honest with myself, I really have no idea what I'm doing or what to do beyond what is here in the moment. And all the plans, the things that I've architected and major plans, maybe not, I don't know about all of them, but like when it comes to how I want to organize my life, I don't feel like I've ever been successful at organizing it and arranging it like in a way that worked. It doesn't feel like anything that I've tried to do has worked when it comes to like generating wealth in a way that resonates with me, or like getting the work into the world in a way where it may connect with the world. Like I don't feel like I've ever been successful in that. And it just brings me to this winter where I feel like there's just like an emptiness inside of me. I feel like my hopes and dreams have changed color, withered, and died with the leaves. And it just feels like winter. And it's way less dramatic than it was last year. The sensation of hopelessness is, I feel it more as like an emptiness than the sense that I have to let everything die, because everything died already, and then it came back to life. And the reason that I was doing music wasn't for my future. It was just because I wanted to do it and understand it and learn about it. And I guess that was the newer fundamental fuel source, at least to my awareness. It was, so when the hopes and dreams were stacked on top of that. It's kind of like I had hopes and dreams as the foundation of the tower that I was building. So when hopes and dreams died in the winter, the whole tower fell. And this time, it just feels like the tower was built upon something else, which is more like an interest in the craft, and then hopes and dreams stacked on top of that. So as the tower falls, it's actually not the whole tower anymore. Like there's still a structure that remains, and right now I have a sense of it's not my, like, what happens in this life isn't my doing, or isn't really my choice. You know, I'm just here surfing the waves of nature, and I'm most interested in being the best surfer that I possibly can. And rather than trying to forge the waves of nature, because I would continually find myself in these spaces where it's like I'm swimming upstream against the waters of life, and that still happens to me, but it's different at the same time. So yeah, there's just like an emptiness in me right now. I really don't know what is to come next, and I feel myself open and interested and receptive for what is next. But all I really know of what is next is like what's right in front of me. And this new moon cycle is Vimana, the mastering process. In the mastering process, ozone was a major ally in the fruition of Savage. Ozone is a plugin suite for mastering, and it really up-leveled the sound quality. There were some parts of the sound in which it was degraded, but I've just felt like an overall, okay, we're going to use this thing and send it, and then on Vimana, I'm actually going to learn how to use this thing, so I can really dial it in a little bit more. So that's definitely an interest for this one. Also is physical health. As I've worked, I have yet to be consistent in my body again, and it's just really important for me. So I'm transferring my daily practice of guitar to physical embodiment, and I definitely feel a lot of resistance towards it. I'll be honest. It's just like there's just something about it that it's just not something I want to do, and it feels like I'm really gonna just have to fucking get myself to do it for a while before it feels good and it feels right. So that's just kind of what I want the scrum to be, is just reconnecting with my body and being consistent with it amidst work and amidst mastering Vimana. So those are the two fundamentals of this next passage. Also, something that I'd like to share about is in the past few days, I had a pretty wild opportunity come across my workstation, the desk, and that was through a friend of mine. Shout out Mr. Mather. He invited me to do this AI art piece for Childish Gambino's creative director, and it was like Gambino wanted AI art renderings of things that I don't need to talk about, perhaps. They're not weird. Well, they're a little weird, but for the sake of his artistry, I'm just not going to go into what it was. But what it was for me was a just wild opportunity to do something through AI art, and it just kind of like yeah, it totally took me by surprise. I was able to give it my attention and deliver something to his creative director that was of good quality, using a bunch of technology that I, have been kind of in pulse with slash peripherally engaged with, and then it was just like I got to learn how to do a lot of things and execute, like, first rendering these images, then giving them motion, then arranging them, and then having issues in Premiere, so downloading DaVinci Resolve, which is another video editing suite, and learning how to do how to work in that whole station in order to deliver this piece, and then evolve my understanding in that space. It was like I just had to learn a bunch of things, and I feel happy with what I delivered. Whether or not it's used, totally out of my hands, and who knows. But it just opened up this door of like, oh, this could be a thing for me. Like, there's a lot of money on the table. If my work is selected, then I get a big check. That's just exorbitant, whatever. It's very extra to me, but also makes me feel like, oh wow, if I were to get this, then I'd definitely reinvest in getting more of these. Like, if I can get one, then definitely can get more. Kind of vibe. And also with Alec at the position he's at, just feels like more offers would be available. Anywho, it also just got me thinking of like, okay, if I did get this check, this is what I'd spend it on. It'd be like, I'd get a new computer, a bunch of new things. I love living in a way where I'm just like down to use the money that I have for, evolving the craft, and to me, I just have this, this sense with myself that like whatever I need, I'll make it work. Whatever I want, whatever I'm interested in, like I'll get it for you. When it comes to like technology, I really love just being like a man who loves his toys. Super fucking fun for me. And just today I'm like downloading shit. It's like, yeah. So it just got me thinking like, wow, if this works, then that would be so epic for me in the present. And then I'd also just start to arrange myself around like seeing how I can get more of these things, because if one can come across my table without anything that I can prove beyond the work that I do for them, then imagine what can come across my table if I were to just like, actually build a body of work around it. And notice how I say body of work rather than an audience. It's interesting to me. Show. I don't know what's next beyond what I've just said. That's where I am. Yeah. Sweet. Well, may we nourish this world in what we do. And our Surf Friday. Holla fucking Lujamaka.